I didn't realize I had a problem until I almost lost everything. I grew up believing love meant, enduring a lot of pain, no matter what. The first time I felt like I wasn't enough is when I lived with my mom. Yeah, when I lived with my mom, she didn't pay me any attention. She would just, try to get the attention of the guy she was pursuing at that time. And she wouldn't take me out to the park. I spent many times alone just waiting for her to take me to the park. Whether, she was in the room with some other guy or, laying down because she was tired, because she was pregnant, or she just didn't have the energy. I lived with my mom until she passed away, until she killed herself. She did heroin and cocaine. I don't know if I could say that. She did, the H and she did the C. So, that kind of took her out. But I was at my wit's end with her, even being 14. I saw what she was doing. I saw the life we were living, and it just wasn't good. I can't even remember a time I ever went up to my mom and said, hey, I love you as my mom. Like, I feel safe with you, And that's deep. It's like, yeah, I can remember me not even ever going up to her and saying, hey, mom, I just want to tell you I love you. I never did that. So the moment I realized that my mom passed away, it was a surreal moment for me. I didn't really know how to process that information. I just thought maybe she was gone. She was gone because she has been gone for most of my life. She's gone. She's came back and she went again and came back, sometimes with another baby. But, this time was different, All I could do was sit there and just take it in. I know I saw her boyfriend crying at the time. He was really sad. He was really sad about it. Me, I wasn't that sad about it. I really wasn't. For some reason, I just wasn't sad. Until maybe a week later, I cried about it. Like, wow, I'm never going to see my mom again. Like, I don't have a mother. And I think that's what made me cry. Like, I don't have a mother anymore. Not the fact that I'm going to miss her. It was just the fact that I didn't have a mother. I started drinking when I turned 16. Me and my aunt and I, we got into an argument one night, and she said, you're gonna be just like your mother, dead and whatnot. So I took it upon myself to go in my grandmother's cabinet and take her liquor, and I drank myself into oblivion. I woke up the next day. Well, my aunt woke me up the next day to go to school. I went to school, I got the help that I need, some friends saw me. They took me in a classroom. They hydrated me, made sure I was safe. From my knowledge, I don't know if anyone else knew, but I was okay that day. Like, I was able to go home and go back to school the next day, so. As a kid, I wanted to feel seen, heard, loved, and I didn't feel that around my mom, around my aunt. My father would come around sometimes and get me, but there were many times he would say, hey, Colleen, I'm coming to get you. And I would wait all day, and he wouldn't come. And then the next week, it would be like nothing ever happened. Drinking became something I did to numb myself. At first, it was a social thing. It helped me loosen up and be more social because I was used to being alone and by myself and, in my own world. But drinking liquor helped me to just loosen up a little bit. But then it became a crutch for me. Like, I needed that feeling of feeling numb. It got to the point where I was waking up and I was drinking every day. Yeah. And this happened when I lost my job. During COVID, it was like every day because the world was locked down. We didn't have anything else to do. You know what I mean? Like the only stores that were open were the supermarkets and the liquor stores. It wasn't many stores. There weren't many stores that were open at that time, especially when we first had the lockdown. I think the liquor stores were closed for about a week. And then they had to open it back up because too many people were going through withdrawal symptoms and they were taking the beds away from the people that actually had COVID. So that my rock bottom looked like me being unemployed, me just being home, just drinking every day, drinking myself to a blackout and waking up the next day. And I'm still here. And I try to do it all over again. And it's the same process and it didn't work. So I got tired of being sick and tired. Yeah, because I said I can drink as much as I want. I'm never gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna happen. Not the way I want it to happen, but just die in my sleep. But that's when I knew. And also I was hanging out around people that I wouldn't normally hang around just to get alcohol because I didn't have any money. So I was just hanging out with them, just keeping them company. So they give me money for alcohol. The thing that made me finally choose sobriety is I was sick and tired. I was sick and tired of doing the same thing. So the moment I realized that, I needed help and I checked myself in to detox, I thought I was fine with just doing detox. This wasn't like how would I say, a linear process, like, bam, bam, bam. No, I went to detox many times before I actually did inpatient treatment. Because I thought, oh, okay, I just need a detox. I'm fine. No. I would end up at the liquor store the same day or maybe the next couple of days after. But when I realized I was tired of doing the same thing, going into detox and then coming out, going back to the liquor store, I said, you know what? I need to go to Elevate. Someone told me about Elevate and I went for a detox and I saw my sister there. She was there. She was doing inpatient treatment and we weren't on good terms at that time, but there were a lot of things going on. So we weren't really on good terms, but I told myself like, oh, I'm just going to do detox. I'll be fine. I did detox. I came back a week later because I started drinking. So I went back into detox and I did the inpatient treatment. And there I learned about the 12 steps and, NA meetings and AA meetings and staying connected. And also giving back to the community, giving back what I've gotten from my sobriety and being connected. Even on your first day, they have a little keychain for you. It says just for today. And I sometimes look at that keychain like, you know what, Colleen, you do have to take it one day at a time. Because sometimes I can go like weeks and months ahead of my time. And I look at that key ring and it says just one day at a time. And that's what keeps me going forward, one day at a time. Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it gets tempting. The holidays, it's cold, we just had a snowstorm, but I wouldn't give up my clear mind for anything. Having a clear mind, I can't see myself going back to how things used to be, So that's the best thing, is having a clear mind. Waking up, I can actually recall something without forgetting the name or forgetting where it was at. I can recall events that happened. Being sober now and how it affects my work performance is actually excellent. I thought I was good, you know. I didn't realize how slow reacting I was, and you know how I couldn't pick up on certain little things going on around me because, you know, I was too busy trying to sober up for the next day. And now when I'm working and I'm sober, it's great. Actually, I'm more organized. I'm more on task, you know. I work at a place where it's more like community. You know, I can actually voice my opinion about something and it's not looked over. You know, I'm actually listened to. I have a voice at where I work at. So the relationships I had while I was drinking, they weren't very meaningful relationships. Some situations were just toxic. Some people were just sitting around waiting for the next thing to happen. You know what I mean? And now me being sober, the relationships that I do have with the friends around me are more meaningful. You know, I have boundaries now. You know, before I didn't have boundaries. You know, I have family members come around me that I didn't really want. And I had them come around me because, oh, family is family. That's just the same. It's not something that I believe in, you know? Like, I don't think family should treat you like crap and that you should continue to be around them. Like, that doesn't make sense, you know? I did a lot of things that didn't make sense. And now that I'm sober, it has to make sense for me to be around. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not gonna do it. I will say I do crave more sweets now because before when I was drinking, I didn't crave sweets like that. Like sweets were okay, but it wasn't something like, oh, I gotta have it. Like I can go days without eating sweets, you know? But now I have to control myself. Like, okay, you know, one slice of cake, that's good enough, you know, for today. You know, and you don't have to have it every day. So I feel better than how I felt before. I never thought I could feel so good with being sober. If I could talk to the girl that I used to be, I would tell her that you don't have to put up with, you know, people treating you a certain kind of way. It's okay to walk away and have boundaries for yourself. You know? At a young age, I was taught to just be obedient and not really have boundaries, just listen, you know? But if I could tell myself, my younger self, or who I used to be, like, it's okay. It's okay to walk away from some situations. It's okay to work on yourself, you know, to be the best version of yourself you could be so you can help the world out.
No.
For anyone who's still in it, here's what I want them to know is that it's okay. Things happen, you know, like you don't have to beat yourself up, you know, over a small mistake or, you know, it's something that, you know, you just learn how to get through. And it's more than not drinking. It's with surrounding yourself with people who actually care about you. It's about, you know, doing things every day that make you a better person. You know, it's also setting goals for yourself and sticking to them, sticking to your goals. Like if you're going to get up at 7:30, get up at 7:30. If you're going to go for a walk at 1 p.m., go for a walk at 1 p.m. Stay true to your commitments, you know, to yourself. Yeah, be kind to yourself, you know.